So first of all, mad respect for what you do for us in the military.
Thank you, brother. Mad respect for you.
Secondly, I know for what I do, it's hard to shield my kids from that. On that side, I go home and try to shed it off. So you're here with your son, saw you earlier today. That's awesome. Mad respect for that.
Thanks, bro.
How do you shield them from everything you do, and what do you let them, as young as they are, watch what you do? It's hard that way.
I mean, they got no idea. I mean, people come up and they say, hey, look, they don't watch any of that stuff. I've given it, like, he ain't even paying attention to you. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I'm just dumb old dad. We're playing ball and we're wrestling, you know what I mean? But, I've given them, Punisher dolls. They just rip the head off, you know what I mean? They're like, what is, my other son just says he loves Daredevil. But, man, I hear what it's funny because from going away from your family is the hardest thing in the world. It's the worst thing in the world, and you can leave your love, your lady, and that's so hard, but leaving your kids, it's just like it's a shame mixed with guilt, mixed with just utter sadness, especially when they're not quite old enough to understand, and it's this unbelievable pain, and for me, that's what fuels me to play the part. That's what when I think about it, it's very easy for me to get into Frank's mindset because they're with me every second, and the absence of them is there. But for me, it's like if I am going to leave, and I'm sure it's the same with you. I want one day when this little man grows up and he sees it, whether he likes it or not, whether he's into it or not, I don't care. But I want him to look at it and be like, Dad was working his ass off. Like Dad wasn't screwing around. Just like you go away. It's like Dad was fighting his ass off. Like, look at what Dad accomplished. He kept us safe. You know what I mean? He kept us safe. He fought for this country. That means something, man. That's everything. And it's like you put your name on your work. It doesn't matter what your work is. And you want your kid. I want my kids to know that everything is for them. And it isn't about money or fame or any of that crap. It's about like putting your stuff out there, throwing something down, throwing it down because it matters and affecting folks, and hopefully it'll be something that they can be proud of, and they'll say, well, maybe it was worth it, But then for me, I don't know about you, but my whole philosophy is just to try to be where you are while you're there. When you're at home, you gotta be home, man. Nothing else. That's it. But anyway, I appreciate your service, bro. Thanks for the question.
Talking about giving the kids the Punisher figure and ripping the heads off. So you had a moment where you had a Shane figure, and now you have a moment where you have a Punisher figure. Many variants of that. So how surreal is that moment to go from having one character and another a second?
I don't know, man. To be honest with you, I don't pay much mind the figure. I have thought at times my kids would but they literally just rip the head. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, I don't pay it much mind, I remember the Shane figure had, I had my wife's name tattooed right here, and the Shane action figure had that, and that always tripped me out. But besides that, you know what I mean? Like an action figure with my wife's name on it. That's and like her nickname, you know what I mean? It's insane, right? You know what I mean? Like how the hell are they allowed to do that?
What was the approval process?
Right? Like, I didn't see a penny for that. You know what I mean? It's like my wife's name, dude.
Alright, so we'll jump over here to the left here.
Right?
Yeah. Hi, Jon.
What's up?
What can you tell us about the Punisher second season? What can we expect?
No, I cannot tell you anything, man. No. I mean, yo, you know how they are. First of all, they don't tell me anything. Like, they don't tell me anything. They're so secretive. They don't mess around. Marvel's a whole different animal, it's a different way of working, and I remember my man Jeff Loeb, when he called me up, he's a guy who sort of is the head over there, and he said, I'm going to say these words to you, and sometimes this will be the best thing, these will be the best words you've ever heard, and at times will be the worst words. And he said, welcome to Marvel. And he's just like, look man, you're not going to, it's like they take their security and their secrecy super, super seriously, and and one of the ways they deal with it, they just don't tell you much. Like, I really know so little. It's actually daunting considering we're starting so soon. So sorry, I can't tell you much.
Awesome. We'll jump over here to the right. Wherever the mic is.
Hi, I'm Susie.
So-
And unlike her, I have been a fan of Shane since the beginning. And
Thank you.
all his
My kind of lady.
actions. Second, you've already revisited Shane coming back or no, but are you going to go on another cruise?
I mean, could they do one like on a lake? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean?
Time to ask,
Right? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. You know what I mean?
Jump up to the left.
I'm such a pussy.
Hey John, my name is Daniel. So ever since you went into that comic book store and then left, and then you started reading the comics, is there just in your imagination which like villain or hero would you like Punisher to interact with?
Barracuda. I like to see Barracuda. I like to see. I mean, look, I'd really like to get back in with D'Onofrio with Kingpin. You know what I mean? I mean, there's so many. Oh my lordy. There's so many. You know, just twisted characters. You know what I mean? There's so many. But you know, like I'm really eager to see. Ah, shit, I'm gonna get in trouble. Yeah, let's just see what happens, man. Let's just see what happens.
Do it, say it. Get in trouble at work when you go back. It's so surreal looking at right here, and as the boat's like tossing and turning, these two hazmat suits, people just standing there waiting for shit to go down. Right, let's jump to the right. Sorry. Is there more over here too? Oh God. Oh, there we go, right there.
Ever since I got into comics, Punisher's always been one of my favorite characters, especially the Garth Ennis version.
Yeah, me too.
And I think, hands down, you embodied that amazingly.
Thanks, man.
But as a military guy, Fury is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, thanks, man.
For that role, did you do any specific training or preparation?
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for your service. That movie's my heart. You know, it's funny. I was just in Las Vegas at the SHOT Show, and I went and met David Ayer, who directed that movie. You know, he's a vet, and he's got a guy named Kevin Vance, who's become one of my best friends. He's a Navy SEAL, unbelievable guy, man. I mean, like he's done it all, and he's just as humble and gracious and kind and wise a guy you'll ever meet. And Kevin does he's in David Ayer's movies, but he was in Fury in the movie, but he also does all the tactical military training. So, I mean, for that movie, it was pretty full on. You know, it was an 8-month shoot. First 3 months was just pre-production, but we slept, ate, pissed, shat in the tank, all our meals in the tank. Everything that we did in the movie, that was always us. You know, I was really loading it, Shot was really firing it, Mikey was driving it, and Brad was calling the shots, and you know, little Logan was sitting up front. And you know, it was really important to Dave and to Kevin, you know, that it was, you know, shit hot and that it was right. And you know, every vehicle in that movie was real. But you know, as far as the training, you know, Ayer has his cast. I used to fight, so he has all his cast fight each other, even if you have no experience. You got to fight. Just he thinks that what happens is actors will start learning more about each other once you start punching each other in the face, and there's no way to lie through that. But it's true, you know, you fight a guy who's no challenge. You fight a guy who's no challenge for you. You know, and like how you deal with that guy says everything about you, and yet there's so much communication going on in that. So I had to fight the stunt guys, and they brought in like a karate teacher. I had to fight him, and everybody would watch. So that was part of the training. But then, you know, again, the tank training, the full immersion. But you know, it was really Kevin. So what Kevin did at the end is he did like this little buds course right at the end, and he brought in a few other SEALs and took us through this whole thing, which was pretty insane. About, you know, every single one of us, we broke down, and you know, I'll tell you what, Brad Pitt did absolutely everything, and there was nothing that anybody did that he didn't do, and you know, that tank just kind of became everything for us. I mean, people say in the military there's nothing closer than a tank crew, and that's really how we were. You know, it was even on days, you know, normally in movies, if you're not going to be on screen, you don't go that day. But for us, it was just like, look, it's 8 months, nobody has any days off, period. If the tank's in the movie, you're in the tank. I don't care if I see you, you're inside, you're doing it. So you guys are out in it. It's just that, it all sort of started from there and went on. But you know, just seeing David, he was there in Vegas the other day with Kevin Vance, and they're doing a little documentary now talking to a couple of Delta guys, a couple of SEALs, and sort of about stuff that's happened back home, and they're doing some really interesting work. And I just see him and those guys really pushing the envelope and really trying to dig into the psyche and the emotions, and trying to get tier 1 guys who are bold enough to kind of like open up and talk about it, and showing the most courage in the world by going over there, but now a whole different kind of courage by opening up and kind of like talking about some of the things that they're dealing with. And I'm just blown away by those guys. And you know, Kevin's one of my best friends in the world, and if there's one big takeaway for me from the movie Fury, it's my relationship with him. You know what I mean? Right on. But thank you, I love that movie too.
Jump back over here to the left. Hi.
Yeah, after working with all the events that you do, what's your stance on people that make role models that make a lot of money that can stand up for our national anthem?
What's my opinion of that?
What's your stance on that?
It's a good question. You know, look, man, I think that for me in this country right now, we have a deal where, you know, I think that patriotism and being strong and being hard is getting confused at times on both sides with being unbending, with saying it's my way or the highway, with saying, you know, I am not going to listen to the other side. You know, for me, unfortunately, I feel that, you know, if I have one big takeaway from vets and, you know, combat vets, guys who have been through it over there, is that they got open minds and open hearts. Yep. They don't judge people by the color of their skin or by their sexual orientation or by their religion. You know, they don't say, hey, I'm the only one who, you know, I'm a badass and you're not. No. It's like, to me, what's strong is being able to say, hey, I'm a thinking man. I can have this conversation with you. I can hear what you're trying to say, and I have an open mind and an open heart to it. And I'm man enough with myself that, you know, if you think differently than me, let's talk about it. I don't need to like get a whole bunch of my friends with, no, man, that's weak. To me, that's weak. And so to me, you know, I think my stance on it is that and you know, I apologize if it doesn't answer your question fully, but I think my stance on it is, you know, I think anytime rigidity in what you believe in trumps everything else, I think that's a big problem. And I think like that's when I think when you're absolutely unwilling to bend or listen to other points of view, I think that's when things get very dangerous. So I don't know why. Would I kneel for the national anthem? I would not. But I don't pretend to understand why someone's doing that. And if they do it, that's their choice. And they might have, you know, it's not my place to judge them. That's my point of view. You know what I mean?
So we're going to take one in the right, and if we can maybe get up here in the back on the left side, if we can get one more up there, that would be great.
It was alluded to earlier, the name of the film never came out, but The Accountant is probably my favorite movie that you've done, and your work in that blew me away. I thought it was phenomenal. And I just was wondering if you had any memories or notes from that movie you can take away.
From The Accountant?
Yeah.
Memories. He was good fighting. I like the fighting. I know. But you know those guys. That's Fern and Sam. That's like the best fight team. They do all the, you know, Spider-Man, Captain America, and you know Gavin O'Connor is the director, and he did that movie Warrior. He did Miracle. He did Pride and Glory. I love Gavin with all my heart. He's just an unbelievable director, and you know he's a big fan of fighting. So all his stunt guys are real fighters. So we were just fighting like crazy, you know, and I like to do all that stuff myself. So that was just, you know, that if I think of one thing from that, it's just that end fight, just, you know, really getting that. And you know, Ben's guys are good. The guys that do Ben's stunt work, like those guys are super good. And Ben, you know, he's awesome. John Lithgow, he's awesome. What else do I remember? I love Atlanta. I love Georgia. I love Georgia. I love Atlanta. I love it. So we shot it down there. I wore like super fancy pants clothes that I didn't like, you know what I mean? There are times I look at myself in the mirror, my hair all, I was like, oh man, you know what I mean? I'm not into, you know, anyway, whatever. But thank you, I really appreciate that you liked the movie. Yeah, it was fun, it was really fun.
All right, we're gonna go right up here, up top.
Okay, I've loved you since I saw you and How I Met Your Mother. So my question is, how did you feel about going from such a badass in Punisher to such a pussy in How I... Sweet Virginia?
That's so messed up, dude. On like so many different levels. Hey, look, I love Sweet Virginia. I love that movie. I love that part.
So did I.
Thank you, sweetheart. But I loved getting an opportunity to play that part. If y'all haven't seen that one, that's a good one. This kid, Chris Abbott, you all know who he is soon. He delivers, I think, in my opinion, the best performance of the year this year in movies. He's horrifying in this movie. You know, for me, that Sweet Virginia, what was cool about it is, you know, that was supposed to go to Forrest Whitaker. That's who they went to first. And me and Forrest don't go up for the same parts too much. It was written for a guy who was supposed to be, you know, in his 50s or 60s, you know, kind of broken down. And I love the fact that I got to play sort of the guy who was weaker and meeker and withdrawn and was just trying to stay out of the fight and just wanted to stay out of the way. It was a really... I love that opportunity, and there was a lot in the script that wasn't there that the director, this guy Jamie Dagg, great director, he let me do. The whole thing of the early onset Parkinson's and having the limp, and there was a fight that he got into, and I said, well, what if he loses the fight? What if he, you know, we figured out ways to make him broken down, and I loved it. I loved the opportunity, and I did not think that he was a PUSSY at all. I just didn't. That's not how I look at him. Strengths, there's a lot of different kind of strengths, you know what I mean? Oh.
Awesome. So, last question. You know, besides Punisher Season 2, what's next? You know, what can we look for in this year, next year? Because you know, 2017 was super awesome.
Oh, thanks, man. What's next? Yeah, so Punisher Season 2, and then I did a movie with my friend Shia LaBeouf called Peanut Butter Falcon. I think you guys are gonna like that one a lot. But I did a movie called Widows with Liam Neeson and Steve McQueen directed that and did Hunger and 12 Years a Slave. And I think that's gonna be a cool movie. And, got a few other things that I'm really excited about it as well. Some stuff that I wrote and another thing that's coming out. But yeah, I hope y'all dig next year. Yeah.
Awesome. So on behalf of everybody, as you just said about someone you admire, you're gracious, you're humble, you're kind.
Oh, thanks,
we appreciate you being here.
Thanks, bro.